The Director General of the BBC and its head of news, they have resigned. The resignations come as the British broadcaster is facing criticism over bias in its coverage of several issues, which includes the Gaza war, trans rights and Donald Trump's speech. BBC's Director General Tim Davie and head of news Deborah Turness, they resigned after accusations that a documentary on its flagship Panorama program had edited a speech by Donald Trump in a misleading manner. BBC is set to apologize for it. Reacting to the news, Trump said that corrupt journalists had been exposed, adding that these are very dishonest people who try to step on the scales of a presidential election because this documentary was aired shortly before the US presidential elections last year. The White House had recently denounced the broadcaster for calling it a propaganda machine and 100% fake news. During the documentary broadcast last year, the doctored clip combined two separate parts of Trump's speech from the 6th of January 2021. That speech was given shortly before the US Capitol. It was ransacked by rioters. It gave the impression that Trump urged his supporters to fight like hell after the Capitol riots. The part where Trump asked his supporters to protest peacefully and patriotically was effectively omitted on the edit desk. Trump had actually said that they would cheer on brave senators and congressmen and women. The White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt had recently denounced the broadcaster for calling it a propaganda machine. The BBC had been under mounting pressure after an internal report by a former standards advisor. That report was an internal one which was leaked to the Daily Telegraph newspaper. It was a 19-page report given by Michael Prescott, a former independent external advisor to the BBC's editorial standards committee. He left the role in June. Apart from the Panorama documentary, Prescott also raised concerns about BBC's lack of action to address systemic problems of bias in BBC Arabic's coverage of the Israel-Gaza war. Reports also said that Prescott raised concerns about the BBC's coverage around trans issues. A parliamentary select committee had set a Monday deadline for the BBC to respond to the claims.
I think that the dossier from Michael Prescott has got some things in it that are right and some things that I think are wrong. But within it, the problem areas, I think, are, first of all, the Trump documentary and the edit, which doesn't seem to be defensible. Secondly, most BBC executives I've talked to over the years think BBC Arabic does need a very close eye kept on it. And whether that's been absolutely the BBC standard, I think, is in some doubt. Then also, there are wider issues about, did the BBC go too far in a direction of the trans lobby?
Now, the departures of Davie and Turness appear to be an attempt to protect the BBC from further attacks. Davie, who has led the British Broadcasting Corporation since 2020, said that he decided to leave after reflecting on the very intense personal and professional demands of managing this role over many years.